In the last episode, you heard from Jordan Nathan from Caraway, who shared how they've used sets and bundles as the backbone of their e-commerce strategy. Today, on episode number 30, get ready. Steve Odell is the co-founder and CEO of Tenzo Tea, a direct-to-consumer organic matcha tea company, and we'll talk about strategies that allowed them to increase LTV by over 50% in the last couple of years. I'm your host, Raphael Paulin-Daigle, and I'm the founder of SplitBase. This is Minds of Ecommerce. Now, this episode is brought to you by, SplitBase. At SplitBase, we help leading DTC brands such as Dr Squatch, Hyperice, and Amica A/B test, design, build, and manage high-converting landing pages and on-site experiences. Our optimization program pinpoints exactly where your store is losing money most, and then, we help you fix it. The result? Increased conversions, AOV, and of course, improved marketing efficiency. With our team of conversion optimization specialists, performance marketers, and conversion-focused designers, we've got your back when it comes to testing and optimization. Request a proposal on splitbase.com today to learn how we can help you get the most out of your marketing spend. All right, Steve, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to chat.
Yes. So as you know, this podcast is all about going deep and dissecting one key growth strategy so our listeners can get as much value as possible in, 15, 20 minutes. And right before we started recording this, you said that one of the key things that you guys have done, there's a couple things, but you've done a couple things in the past couple of years to really increase your lifetime value. And you've been able to increase it by over 50% in the past couple of years. Now, I definitely wanted to drill down into that, but just for context, for how long have you been working on Tenzo?
7 years in.
Amazing. 7 years, and you've done a lot of great things over time. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about strategies to increase LTV. Walk us through maybe a couple of highlights of that.
Yeah, so I think a good background point is why is this important? And in a world where media buying has gotten tougher and tougher, it's critical to have the highest LTV possible for two reasons. One is it really boosts your revenue and also contribution profit. Two is it allows for a higher allowable CAC. And so once you start spending $100,000, $200,000 a month on ads, there's this fallacy that, as you spend more, your CAC goes down, but 99% of brands, it actually goes up as you spend more. And even if you're optimizing all these things. So one of the things was, as we started to spend more each month, we really needed to figure out, we wanted to keep that going, how do we allow a higher CAC? And fundamentally, your allowable CAC is based on your contribution margin, for acquiring a customer over a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can increase our LTV by a large percentage, then we can spend more money on ads and or be more profitable. That's point one. And then the first kind of really big win was fundamentally just changing the unit economics. And we did that by altering the pack size. So before we were selling 30 grams of matcha for $25. Now, that margin after shipping was $15. So you get a $15 CAC on first purchase. Yeah, that's not really going to work on Facebook these days. This isn't, 2011.
Yeah.
So what we did was we immediately we doubled it and we started doing 60 grams of matcha for $50. And despite doubling the cost, the CAC did not double in line with that. So the allowable CAC went from, 15 to 30. And that is, it's a recurring purchase. So every month you're making that same margin, your allowable CAC goes up significantly, even with, churn, it's still really healthy. Now, that was a super basic one, but yeah, how do you want me to rattle off another one?
Yeah, I actually have a couple of questions on this. So I know there's a lot of brands that are looking to do something similar. They want to increase the quantities that people are getting, but I think they're also afraid of killing their conversion rate as they're going to go about it. How did you guys approach that? Because you're going from 25 to 50, you're effectively doubling kind of the minimum order for these products. You're a little more than doubling the quantity. Did you test it? What type of rollout did you do?
Yeah, so this is when we were really young. Prior to this test, we really had no experience in e-commerce and we weren't out really testing super well. But
right,
yeah. So during this period and this kind of deep dive into retention, we built out a data studio, which is pretty unconventional, and the analytics tools at the time weren't very good. There's some better ones now, but we're in so deep on this data studio, it doesn't make any sense. But yeah, so we built out a really simple LTV dashboard that puts in marketing spend and all the revenue based on a cohort, and then fully loads all the costs. And then you can see contribution margin, and like gross margin, pretty much all the baseline, like simple P&L metrics. And that's how we were tracking it. So just looked at the LTV over specific months and then looked at, what's the payback period, that kind of thing.
Awesome. And how did you decide on the quantity and the price? Because I'm sure, you probably thought, hey, maybe we should try $60 instead of 50. Maybe we should try 45, right? And I'm sure that when you look at your contribution margin, well, there is a minimum that you need to hit for the numbers to actually make sense over time. So you could also shoot straight for that. But what was your thinking process when it came to finding out what to go with?
Pricing, in my opinion, is, for the most part, shooting from the hip. And if people buy it, they buy it. And like for us in this example, it was, okay, like, did the CAC double? The answer was no. And then I was like, all right, let's roll with this. Yeah. And really the next like big test we did is, so we sell organic matcha, like you mentioned, and then we also have these supplementary items, we call them matcha ware. So it's like you have a handmade ware, you have an electric mask, you have a shaker bottle, a glass tumbler, a mug, a Japanese bowl, on and on. And what we did next was we made a set of bundles. So we one bundle had the electric mixer, one bundle had the bamboo whisk, one bundle had the shaker bottle, one bundle had the glass tumbler. And we ran about $100,000 in spend to each cohort, each bucket and bundle. And then we looked at CAC and LTV for both of them, for each step. And then the one that, is the clear winner on a contribution margin basis and LTV was this electric mixer. And that became like the starter kit on our website. And so, that was like another huge optimization. And then we pretty much went all in on this one bundle after that.
Amazing. I love that you're saying that, because just last week, the podcast episode with Jordan of Caraway Home, we talked about, creating bundles and set, and they actually started just with bundles and sets, and we're looking at, hundreds of dollars for the minimum product. And then when I kind of look as well at all the brands that we've worked at over the past 6-7 years and ran like hundreds of tests with bundles and sets, I think people tend to underestimate how much they can push bundles and set as like their hero product for customer acquisition. A lot of people just start with their individual products, and turns out, look, like you could probably double, that number, that first AOV, just by creating a set and making that the product you're sending money to, right?
Totally. Can agree more. I mean, there's just like a funny note about that. Did you see that Costco started selling pallets of like every kitchen utensil, pot, pan you'd ever need?
I did not see that.
You can get it delivered to your door for $5,000.
Oh my God.
That's like the ultimate bundle / AOV booster right there.
That's it. Get it all. Amazing. Now, I know you have a couple other things that you guys have done as well that's helped with increasing lifetime value. What are some of those other strategies that you guys have employed over the years?
Yeah, a really simple one that's frankly just not done, I feel like, super well. And when I subscribe to things, is confronting objections like right away. So as the brand scales, you pretty much know what are the objections. Why is someone going to have a bad experience? Or, can you change that about the product, and can you iterate it? If yes, then do it. But for us, like one of the big things with matcha is that it's a powdered tea. It's like literally a powdered tea leaf, and it's non-soluble, so it doesn't dissolve in water. So people get these clumps, and they're like, "Oh, what's going on? It's so clumpy. That's not supposed to dissolve." We're like, "Well, Susan, actually, it doesn't dissolve, and that's totally okay. If you want, mix it up a little more. Otherwise, just drink it. It's not going to kill you." So and that's just one really, really simple one, that it's like you build out these really good post-purchase flows, and you upfront load all those, messages, so that people, they already are aware of them before they're like, "Oh, this is a bad experience. It didn't dissolve. What the fuck is this? I'm training."
Yeah. How did you identify those objections?
Yeah, great question. Surveys. So like you got to run surveys constantly. I'm sure that you know this. I'm sure
I'm a big fan of surveys.
Yeah. So like day 24 of our post-purchase flow, you get like an NPS survey, which is like, how much did you like it? What can we do better? All that good stuff. And then you iterate and optimize there. And this is kind of a nice segue into my next one, which is product iterations. So like I mentioned, we have all those matchaware SKUs earlier, and then we have like our core tin and pouch. And we're like basically bootstrap. Here's a very tiny amount for friends and family. Like if you were to say, I want to put in 10K at Tenzo, I'd be like, yeah, sure. But no institutional money. So we didn't really have a lot of money to like buy and make like really nice products when we were just getting started. So what we did is each time we were going to order new matchaware or new tins or new, packaging, we would do an iteration on it. And then we would label that, like, instead of SKU 123, we had like SKU 123A and then SKU 123B and SKU 123C. And we mapped all those to LTV. All of those things, not every single one wasn't a perfect win, but we started getting up to the critical mass of improving product leads to higher LTV, better contribution margin. So that's a pretty standard one, but that's so important. I feel like a lot of founders just like make the product and then think it's fucking perfect and everyone's going to love it till the end of time. But in actuality, you can keep making it better and better and better and better. Like a lot of other parts of your business, like your website or your post-purchase flows. So you got to iterate on that as well.
And I think it's so simple, like the way that you're explaining it, right? You just kind of change the SKUs and then obviously like it's pretty easy to track at that point. And I think from what I've seen, it's either people are not doing it at all, which is probably the majority of the time, like you said, or they're overcomplicating it and, are looking for a bunch of fancy tools and software to help find that. And at the end of the day, you can still be pretty scrappy and get the data you need in a way that's probably easier than installing a bunch of tools and software that's not even going to get you that answer, right?
Yeah, exactly. You should install the least amount of software possible on your site.
Yeah, I love that. So just to recap for the audience and everyone listening. So the first one is bundles and kids. Just make sure that, experiment with those and try to make sure that you're actually promoting bundles that will give you an advantage when it comes to acquiring your customers and not something that's going to make you work twice as hard. Number two is after people sign up, subscribe, or purchase, counter objections, because the goal here is for them to come back. And the sale doesn't happen after the sale. When it comes to subscriptions and actually increasing LTV, well, the sale is always going on, right? You need to sell people every single day or, pretty frequently. And countering objections, especially by identifying them first through surveys, was quite beneficial for you guys. And the last one is iterating on your products and understanding which variant of your actual product led to the higher customer satisfaction just by being able to track the SKUs with the actual products. I think those are some 3 simple but really great and often neglected tactics. Anything else, Steve, that, when it comes to LTV, you would recommend to founders that, are running $1 million plus businesses?
Yeah, if you have a subscription brand, ship fast. That's my last little tip. It's another really interesting study we did. We mapped the shipping time of each first order to LTV, and people that were under 5 days had a significantly higher LTV than people that were over 5 days.
Super interesting.
It's also just really easy to do. Like, you don't really need anything complicated. You just do a simple export, like I mentioned, and then map that to LTVs. If your fulfillment center is on the West Coast and you have one on the East Coast, just pull all the orders from each region. It's not nothing crazy.
Awesome. Love it. Super actionable. Those are fantastic. Now, you've been running the business for about 7 years. So if you were to start this brand all over again, what would you do differently?
That is a very loaded question, my friend. What year am I starting it in?
Ooh, today.
And I have all my existing knowledge and network and money.
You do.
I would probably partner with like Naomi Osaka or Kourtney Kardashian and immediately start out celebrity partnership, huge audience right from the jump, and then, dominate on e-com. Facebook ads would be so easy if you had one of those 2 people to push it. But yeah, I feel like that's the key right now is getting so much harder, to do like a lot of fundamental things that were very core to growing an e-com brand. And if you're starting from scratch right now, trying to just push on e-com, like you better have an incredible product, like very unique, differentiated right from the jump. Like if you were to launch another mantra brand right now without like a serious ally, it'd be pretty tough.
Yeah. And for anyone listening to this, if you want to learn more about building partnerships with people like Steve mentioned, listen to 2 episodes ago, my interview with Alexandra Zadarian of 8 Sleep, where we talked about how they actually built great and successful partnerships with brands like F1 and Barry's Bootcamp and a bunch of others. Now, Steve, we're pretty much at the end. We're pretty much out of time, but there's one question I'd love to ask for entrepreneurs that's been in the space for a while and that have great businesses like yours, which is, who do you look up to in this space? Who are some entrepreneurs and people running great e-commerce businesses that, you found are doing cool things?
I like Sean I've never met him, but I follow him on Twitter, the Ridge founder. I think what he's done is really incredible. Yep. And I just like that they're doing hundreds of millions of dollars a year. I think he thinks about things, the right way. And it built a really good company, and it's been cool to watch them from afar.
Awesome. Sweet. Steve, thank you so much for being here. Now, if people want to learn more about you or Tenzo, where should they go?
Yeah, tenzotea.co. Me personally, hit me up on Twitter. Yeah.
Sweet. Thank you so much, Steve.
Cool. Thanks.